There's one comment I have to make about why I'm very definitely clear about the language for source idea, Paul. And that's not to invalidate what you've said, but the reason I'm definite about this is one of the foundation stones, and I had this conversation, if anyone wants to look at the video from the coaches call this morning for the Americas, it's in the Slack channel already, the facilitators call, because we covered this a lot. But one of the founding principles of Centropic is to go back to source, go back to source. So the reason we hold this as the source idea is because it arrives in a moment, and sometimes it arrives over a period of time, but the seed of the source idea arrives, and when it arrives with its pattern integrity intact. And so what my education and training about Bucky's work is there, if there is something, a problem to solve or something to consider, go back to source. Go back to the source of the word, the etymological root. Go back to, if we're looking at politics, go back to the source of democracy. If we're looking at how we've got misogyny, patriotism, patriarchy, and so on going on in our culture, go back to the mythological stories like Cassandra Speaks does that. If we're looking at soil integrity, go back to how did it happen, and this is what we covered in the call earlier today. Go back to how did we get to a place that soil is like that, not just from one lens, but looking the integral whole systems lens. How did we do it as people? Because you're not going to be able to solve the issue of soil integrity unless you understand, as you pointed out, the business model and the way that we think and our mindset, and so it's, but in order to really understand what it is that we're trying to, we have to know its source, root, identity. And what I've seen time and again with people who are holding an idea for a business is that 10 steps down or 5 years down or whatever it is, if they haven't got this source, the moment and the pattern integrity of that anchored in their being and in the stories that they tell and in the values and the trust manifesto, if they haven't got that, someone will come along and offer them a something that's going to open up all of these amazing doors. And the temptation, we're all human, the temptation will be too good for us and we'll say yes. And that's a violation of that. And so that's the reason why we keep that.